how the Straw Hats welcome guests on board. Throughout their journey, the Straw Hat crew has mostly operated like an elite team. But along the way, various individuals have, through twists of fate, boarded the Thousand Sunny and joined them for a stretch of adventure. Naturally, the crew's way of welcoming these guests has been anything but uniform. Vivi and her companion were the first guests to be entertained by the Straw Hats after entering the Grand Line. Back then, Vivi and Luffy were rescued from Laboon's stomach acid by the crew. Zoro, sharp as always, immediately sensed something suspicious about her and seemed ready to dig deeper, but was quickly silenced by a few solid punches from Nami. In truth, during Vivi's first time aboard, the Straw Hats treated her quite kindly. They didn't question her identity much, and Luffy even helped escort her to Whiskey Peak. It wasn't until her second time on board that Vivi revealed her true identity and circumstances. Gradually, the Straw Hats came to see her as one of their own. Sanji offered drinks to Karoo the duck, amused by how much he could chug down, while Nami shared a drink with Vivi as well. Everyone partied freely, treating her not as a guest, but a friend. When Nami fell ill, Vivi stayed up day and night by her side, solidifying a deep sisterly bond. During the Alabasta arc, 3 more guests appeared on the ship. The first was Robin, who at the time had not yet become a crewmate. As an unexpected stowaway, her arrival triggered a full-on alert. Everyone drew their weapons, fully on guard. But they were soon disarmed, literally and figuratively, by Robin's powers. Even her second time aboard, she snuck on quietly. Except for Luffy and Sanji, the rest of the crew remained wary and unwelcoming. Usopp even tried to interrogate her, only for the entire crew to be effortlessly outmaneuvered by her abilities. From that point on, they treated her as the scary older sister figure. The second guest was Mr. Tubon Clay, or Bentham, who was reeled onto the ship with the help of Karoo. Because of his eccentric charm, he was warmly welcomed by Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp, the goofball trio. They linked arms, sang, and danced, forming an unexpected bond. When it was time to part, they were reluctant to say goodbye. After Crocodile's defeat and Alabasta's lockdown by the Marines, Bon Clay risked everything to protect the Going Merry and distract the Marines. That act of friendship landed him in prison. The third guest was Ace, Luffy's big brother. The crew was shocked that Luffy had such a polite and intelligent sibling. Zoro and the others were unusually reserved, quickly returning Ace's bows and apologies. Since he was Luffy's brother, they didn't treat him like a stranger. Sanji even offered to take him inside for tea, though Ace politely declined. In the manga, Ace's time on the ship was brief, barely enough for a proper welcome. Then came the Florian Triangle, where they met Brook, a talking skeleton. Luffy instantly extended a crew invitation. Brook accepted immediately, making him the fastest recruit ever. However, he later declined because his shadow was still in Gecko Moria's hands. Still, the Straw Hats gave him a warm welcome. Sanji prepared a delicious meal, and they all dined in the Sunny's kitchen. Luffy and Brook hit it off instantly, bonding over silly secret codes. Not only did they vibe perfectly, Brook also happened to be the musician Luffy had always dreamed of finding, which solidified his resolve to help Brook reclaim his shadow and bring him aboard. After defeating Thriller Bark, Lola briefly joined them on the ship. She had already formed a strong bond with Nami, and having survived together, Nami gave her the highest form of Straw Hat hospitality, a literal chest of treasure. Luffy and Usopp were stunned. Nami gave away money. That was like Luffy not wanting meat, Sanji resisting women, or Zoro knowing which way was north. At Sabaody Archipelago, Cammy the mermaid and Papagoo boarded the Sunny. The crew was over-the-top curious. They surrounded them with weird questions. Brook asked to borrow money, and Luffy asked if mermaids poop. Cammy showcased her fish-guiding talent. The crew treated her like a little sister, taking her to an amusement park and helping her live her dream of visiting Fishman Island, a place she'd longed to see since childhood. When Cammy was later auctioned off, Nami planned to use Thriller Bark's treasure to buy her freedom. After the 2-year time skip, Caribou snuck aboard during the descent into Fishman Island. Technically, only he managed to get on the ship. Moo Moo the sea cow, traumatized from a past run-in, immediately sold him out by grabbing Caribou's crewmates and handing him over. The Straw Hats initially tied him up, but he later hid in a barrel, plotting a surprise attack. Just as Caribou was dreaming of a perfect escape, he learned the true meaning of, when you gaze into the abyss gazes back. Frankie sealed him inside the barrel, labeling it a private room. In the new world, even more allies joined the crew temporarily. Law, post-timeskip, became a key ally. On Punk Hazard, he got his first taste of Straw Hat chaos, which nearly shattered him. When he boarded the Sunny and joined the trip to Dressrosa, the ship became unusually lively. Alongside Law were Momonosuke, Kinemon, and hostage Caesar Clown. The way the crew welcomed each of these three was very different. Law, the stoic lone wolf, felt like a husky tossed into a pack of puppies. Sanji warned him, "Luffy's idea of an alliance might be different from yours." Already anxious, Law was thrown further off by how Luffy kept mispronouncing Dressrosa as Dress Grandma, and how Robin imagined it as an old lady in a dress. When Law tried to formally explain that Wano wasn't a place you could just walk into, Luffy interrupted with, "Sanji, I'm hungry," and dragged everyone to eat, leaving Law stunned. That was when he delivered his iconic line, "I hate sandwiches." Ironically, breakfast that day was sandwiches. Still, Sanji thoughtfully made him rice balls instead. Whether or not he liked the chaos, Law couldn't deny the crew's sincerity. For Momonosuke and Kinemon, the Straw Hats treated them like family. Kinemon merely shared his hardships, and Luffy decided they'd take him all the way to Wano after reaching Zoo, leaving Law speechless. Kinemon only wanted a ride, but Luffy, the overly generous chauffeur, dropped him off at his front door. Nami gave Momonosuke a grand tour of the Sunny, showing him the aquarium and library. Even though Sanji was a bit jealous, he still made him a juicy steak. Chopper checked his health. But the most enviable treatment of all? Momonosuke got to bathe and sleep with Nami and Robin. At the time, he was jokingly called the greatest villain in One Piece. With that level of treatment, he truly experienced the Straw Hats' ultimate VIP welcome. Compared to the others, Caesar's treatment was downright comedic. Back on Punk Hazard, he had acted all high and mighty, but once captured, he was reduced to a source of endless mockery on the Sunny. Chopper, though initially awed by Caesar's scientific expertise, was quick to put that admiration aside when it came to treating him like a guinea pig. Frankie and Usopp constantly threatened to test their inventions on him. He was shackled, gagged, and even forced to work for the Straw Hats. The most memorable scene was when Nami, in full fury, punched Caesar square in the face. It was as if all of Punk Hazard's grudges had been avenged in that single blow. During the Zoo arc, another temporary guest was Pedro of the Mink tribe. Unlike the others, Pedro maintained a respectful distance and composure. The Straw Hats, in return, treated him as a reliable ally. While not overly enthusiastic or flamboyant in their hospitality this time, they showed their respect for Pedro's strength and leadership. Pedro joined the infiltration team to Whole Cake Island and even received words of concern and support from Luffy before embarking on the mission. Then came Carrot, Pedro's energetic companion who sneaked aboard the Sunny without permission. At first, the crew was surprised, but Carrot's adorable personality quickly won everyone over. She was treated just like a younger sister, playing with Chopper, snacking with Luffy, and even being included in battles. Her bond with the crew grew deeper as they shared life-threatening adventures on Whole Cake Island. Even Brook was particularly fond of her cheerful presence. Carrot eventually became a full-fledged member in everyone's eyes, even if not officially announced. In Whole Cake Island, an unexpected guest boarded the Sunny, Reiju. Luffy welcomed Reiju with his silver screen first kiss. Reiju had a good meal there, thanked the Straw Hats, and thought to herself, "These people are too hospitable. I must never let Hancock know about this, or she might bloodbath Germa." After Whole Cake Island, the Sunny and the Giant's massive ship, Elbaf's Elbaf, were bound together heading for Elbaf. So the Straw Hats had another batch of companions, Dory, Brogy, and their subordinates, as well as two beautiful women who fought with them at Whole Cake Island, Bonnie and Lilith. This time, it was more like the Giants entertaining the Straw Hats, as the giant-sized portions of food on the Giant's ship were enough for Luffy and his crew to eat to their heart's content. Throughout their journey, the Straw Hat crew has hosted wave after wave of guests, entertaining them in various ways. Whether they're entertaining others or being entertained themselves, one thing that's never missing is the Straw Hats' traditional activity, throwing a banquet.